You've been watching me. I've been watching you. Your mom, there's a kind of neglect, gives off a scent. And your girl, she's ripe. It's on you to look out for them, because there are a lot of bad people out there, Charlie.
I'm mimicking the co-host over there.
I know.
Before we started recording,
I'm glad somebody did, because at least somebody remembers that from the original film, which I was really out of everything that I was hoping to see in this new film. I was waiting for that moment, so I'm like, if you're going to bring anybody back from the original or just any kind of dialogue or anything, I'm hoping to God that they would have brought back that Fright Night from the TV show that's within the movie, where they introduce Vincent.
Roddy McDowall.
Yeah, Roddy McDowall's character. Yeah. What was
Peter
it?
Vincent.
Peter Vincent.
Yeah.
Vampire killer.
Well, see, but here, the main context change is Peter Vincent himself, because now he's not just some old, aging, male Elvira.
Yeah, some
like a
horror TV show host. Yeah.
Who plays late night bad horror movies. Mm-hmm. Now he's Chris Angel, basically, and it's Doctor Who. Chris Angel.
Yeah, David Tennant. David Tennant.
Playing basically those crazy Vegas, look how dark I am magician guys. So, I mean, that guy can't start his show with that. You can't start a big metal dude come out with like, Fright Night.
You might as well. It's just as fucking cheesy.
I can see that.
You could. Yeah, he's got that heavy metal hair. He could come out and do like, Fright Night.
You can do that, sure.
You know what, man? I don't know what the hell you're talking about, because I have not seen the original.
What?
Are you serious?
Are you fucking kidding me?
All right, this review is over.
Holy shit.
Jesus Christ.
We can't even talk about this movie until you've seen the original, the fucking cult classic of films.
We'll be right
from
back
the 80s.
after Corey has seen the movie.
And here's the thing. One of the things that made that first movie, the original movie, so good is that it was a surprise. Like, you weren't expecting much from this. Fright Night, another horror, vampire, 80s movie, whatever.
Don't know really anybody in it.
Antonio told me, a friend of ours, Antonio, he told me that around that week, everyone was projecting that John Travolta movie Perfect, the one with
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis, where it's a fucking workout fucking movie. Where they were expecting that to be like huge. It was released by the same company that released Fright Night, and Fright Night apparently. They weren't expecting anything out of Fright Night at all. They were expecting it to do okay and then just fall off.
But everyone went to go see Fright. Well,
everyone went to go see Fright Night. Yeah, it was a huge hit.
Yeah,
have you ever seen Perfect?
Perfect is dull. It's
no.
anything but perfect.
So I've seen everything on the internet with Jamie Lee Curtis bending over. That's about it.
See, I haven't seen it either, and that's exactly why. I watch a lot of movies, but even if they said, "Here, we will pay you to watch this," I go, "Yeah, no, I'll watch something else."
Yeah, who wants to see that?
Wow, man, y'all are really making me feel like shit for not having seen
Fright.
You should. Why do people keep saying that? I keep telling people, I haven't seen that. Like I just baked a Jew or something.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
You haven't seen Fright Night? Jesus, man, that's a classic. The fuck out my
Give me your review fucking credentials right now, bitch.
Oh, man, I was trying to order a hamburger at McDonald's. I haven't seen Fright Night. Get the fuck out of my establishment.
No fries for this motherfucker.
I'm not paying for it. Get out.
Leon's right, though. The main thing was that it was a surprise. No one expected it to be good. And then we're like, wow, I didn't even know it was going to be like a horror comedy. I thought it was just a horror movie.
Yeah, and it's one of those movies you can watch over and over, and you enjoy it just as much as you did the first
And
time.
is it safe for me to say that it was probably like one of the last Andy McDowell films that was Roddy McDowell. I'm sorry.
Andy McDowell still pops up every so often.
Damn it.
She's not dead.
Roddy McDowell. I'm sorry.
Andy McDowell, who Roddy McDowell would be if you cut his dick off. Well, you love fucking them names up, don't you?
I know.
But it was one of those things like you hadn't seen Roddy McDowell for a while, and he pops up in it, and he's awesome in it.
He's incredible in it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Fuck, man. I'm scared to give a review for this.
Be a man, Corey. Be a man.
Everyone's gonna go like, whatever, Corey. You don't know because you haven't seen the original.
You ain't seen it.
Which will be something I'm sure we will keep falling back on.
Hey, you know what? You guys can go ahead and say that then, because I think I serve a purpose here. I think I'm the voice of the youth out there. Because this movie.
Well, Corey, I'm just glad you're thinking. Number one, let me put that out there right now.
I speak for the youth out there, because this movie, last year in 2010, it celebrated its 25th anniversary. Movie's old, boy.
God
so there's
damn.
There's some the kids out there. Some kids who are like, Fright Night, what the fuck is that? And then their daddies are telling them like, boy, you ain't seen Fright Night, but sit down right here and watch this. You
right after they get hit in the head. Yeah.
Yeah.
God damn it, you big dummy.
The fuck? Well, you take out your mom. But but a lot of them hadn't seen the original Fright Night, so. I am the fresh eyes who has not seen the original.
You represent that demographic.
Yes, I do.
Dumbasses who deserve a beat on the head.
That's all right. You go ahead and just berate the whole youth out there. I speak for the youngsters out there. I know what they feel like to walk into this movie cold, and that's the kind of that's the opinion I'm going to give. God damn it!
All right.
Because
now this youth you're talking about, for them, vampires is Twilight.
Yeah.
Well, that's why this is good that we have this movie right here for all those guys out there who's like, God damn, I'm tired of all these goddamn metrosexual faggot ass vampires.
Nickelodeon shit.
Yeah, all sensitive and shit. Motherfuckers walking up here with glitter on and look like a fucking stripper. Your vampires are bitch. We have got like. We got the best of both worlds. We kind of got like sort of like True Blood thing going on. We got the sexy vampire, but he ain't, he's not going around moping and shit like that and being all sensitive. He's still ruthless. He's a man.
He's the suavest motherfucker you will ever meet.
This is like old school.
Yeah.
This is like Dracula vampire who is like, fuck all that shit. I'm going to eat me some bitches.
Well, honestly, what Fright Night set up in the 80s, this is still that vampire, which I really admire. Even the look of the vampire that they set up in Friday Night is really like in the forefront here, where it's like they didn't bother to redesign the look of the vampire.
Yeah, when he goes into his
when they turn, it is like
face.
It looks like a fucked up Joker with teeth. Yeah,
that's what was cool. One of the things I remember about the old Fright Night is that.
You didn't see.
The one you only saw in production stills.
Yes, that's right. I saw trailers. I saw pictures. Okay,
I saw the box.
I had a goddamn TV back in the day. All right.
I remember back when I just checked the Wikipedia page.
Yeah. When you looked in the back of that VHS box and you're like, God, if only I had $1.50 to spend.
Yeah. Let's see. Gumby Fright Night. Gumby's never let me down.
You chose poorly.
No, I actually saw a little bit of Fright Night when it used to come on HBO back in the day. It's one of those movies that I've never seen completely. I've seen it in like segments and probably didn't see all the good parts.
And you saying that though, when you first got HBO back in the day, that was like included in the only like 6 movies that HBO ever shows,
like they do today.
Which I'm shocked that I'm shocked you missed that.
Fade to Black, Raging Bull, and Fright Night.
Yeah,
played them all the time.
Back then they used to show Fright Night like about not as bad, about 23 hours a day, but so I caught a little bit of it. And what was cool about it is that they did have a nice mixture of bringing in the cool, as we say, the definitive pimp vampire Dracula. He's all smooth and shit. Yeah. And then they brought in also the newer versions of the more monstrous vampires. They were able to combine it very well like this, because the vampires in Fright Night, after they've seduced whoever it is that they want to bring in and eat or turn into a vampire themselves for their ranks, they get a big old vampire Joker smile on their face.
Yeah. Then the shit gets real.
Yeah, and then the shit gets big motherfucker turns into like a big mouth shark.
It'd be like more like a piranha.
Like a practical effects version of the way people looked in that Soundgarden Black Hole Sun video when they make their faces get unnaturally huge smiles, except filled with motherfucking teeth.
Yeah, with fangs. Yeah, man.
What the hell is that shit?
And I guess this movie, from what I understand, because I heard people talking about like the first 40 minutes of this, how it was 30 or 40 minutes, how it was true to the original. The original came out, 85?
Not in a good way.
I want to say, yeah.
Well, okay, because me have not seen this.
No, I just thought it was true to the point of being banal.
Anton Yelchin is Charlie Brewster in this movie.
Yeah.
He's a teenager. He's
Brewster, you're so cool.
You're so cool, Brewster. Now, I remember that from the original. But he's a teenager. He's got some cool, kind of douchey asshole friends, but those are the guys you want to hang out with if you want to get the hot chicks, and that's just what he does. He got himself a fine-ass girl. He's managed to ditch that little nerdy friend of his who was always making him do stupid things. He's moving up in the world. But when his friend, and who's his friend played by?
Christopher Mintz-Plasse. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly.
Yeah, Mac. You just call him Mac. He's forever
McLovin. He will forever be McLovin. Yeah,
just like Napoleon Dynamite.
That's like trying to give him. Yeah, I was about to say. It's like trying to remember Napoleon Dynamite. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, not only
Napoleon.
his last name, Mintz-Plasse, is crazy, but the kid's McLovin. Might as well just change his name. But anyway, he plays Ed in the movie, and even though Brewster has managed to get rid of Ed and shake him, Ed comes out of the blue and says, "Hey, man, have you noticed how many people are missing in school?" And Bruce is like, "Hey, man, this kid's missing all the time. This fucking school, they play."
Bruce is like, "Sorry, I'm too busy fucking. Yeah. I don't have time to worry about
Look, man,
that."
I know you miss me, all right, but this shit that you trying to be a detective, this shit ain't gonna work. He's like, "Look, I'm telling you, man, something's wrong. You need to help me out. We got a vampire living in the neighborhood." And he's like, "God damn, man."
Worst cock block ever.
Yeah. Come on, man. You got to get some friends. And
look at this pussy over here, and I got to worry about vampires and shit. Oh, I'm sorry.
And Ed actually humors him a little bit. He's like, who's a vampire? He's like, "Man, that guy just moved next door to you." He's like, "That pimp, that cool player named Jerry
who keeps to himself."
Yeah, Jerry the vampire.
Jerry the vampire. He's like, "Come on, man." But when Ed goes missing himself, Charlie Brewster goes to look on his computer because he's like, "Well, that's kind of weird. Maybe I did this guy a little bit wrong. Maybe he was onto something. Maybe the guy's not a vampire, but maybe the guy's a killer or something." Goes and looks on his computer, finds hard evidence that yes, they're living next door to a vampire, and this vampire, played by Colin Farrell, has unfortunately realized that Charlie Brewster's starting to zero in on him, and his cool way, he's starting to come over and "Hey, sport, let me borrow a beer. Oh, and by the way, watch your family before I eat them." And so it's up to Charlie Brewster to try to not only save his mom, his girlfriend, but possibly save this whole town out in the middle of the desert in Nevada.
And that's the cool thing about this movie, where if you're familiar with the original, well, you're kind of expecting, you're like, all right, yeah, I know how this goes. I've read the outline of this movie. I've seen it. I've lived it. The cool thing about this movie is it really says, fuck your outline. and it really takes you in directions where you're like, all right, this is familiar. All right, I kind of see where this is going. And then it says, you know what, fuck you. We're going to get into this now. We don't have time to waste. We don't have your time to waste. And that's what I really liked about the film. Even though there are some bumps on the road there, it was still so entertaining and enjoyable to watch, where I'm like, I like the fact, number one, that they immediately let you know that this is still in a suburb, which I loved about films from the 80s, where you really don't get that sense anymore, where a lot of things seems like it's easily accessible to where police can show up. You almost feel some sense of isolation, which I think really works for this film.
Well, you know what you're saying? Mm-hmm. Also, let me tell you what you're saying.
Tell me what I'm saying.
I just realized how asshole that's. Hey, let me tell you what you're thinking right now. Yeah,
you know what? Translate.
Yeah, I agree with you, because I've always thought, ever since the days, what Spielberg managed to do, he brought fantasy and horror into the real world, and mostly did it by bringing it into the suburbs.
Thanks to Poltergeist.
Yeah, Poltergeist, E.T.
Because everybody was living in the suburbs.
Well, yeah, if it can happen in the suburbs, then it can happen. If you can make me believe that shit, then it's real.
You're driving down your front parking lot in your green machine and driving around your little cul-de-sac and looking around. You're like, Jesus Christ, any one of these houses could have an alien in it, could have some sort of demon
vampire.
Or something, a vampire.
A black person,
Well, let's not get ridiculous.
Let's not get racist, Corey.
In the 80s. There weren't a lot of black
Let's not get too fantastic.
That's just talking crazy. It's like Leonard Nimoy's In Search of.
We're not talking Twilight.
Negroes next door.
We're not talking Twilight Zone shit here.
Damn, I'd rather have Bigfoot move over here. I agree with you. Well, go ahead, man. You haven't said anything yet, but you thought about this. Did you? Oh, you didn't see it.
Yeah, I was going to go see it tomorrow, but you wouldn't let me.
Oh, damn.
Oh, that's not true. And by the way, it's Wednesday. That's a whole extra 48 hours, man. Come on. That's
Too
just
late,
long.
Luthor. It's too late.
Couldn't wait. Wait.
You know what? I had a real problem with the first 40 minutes or so of this, because I thought, maybe if I hadn't seen the original, it wouldn't have bothered me, but I've seen the original so many times, and it's just note for note the original, except I didn't like the actors playing the roles as much. I thought Anton Yelchin was just kind of mildly irritating at first.
Is he still look like a 35-year-old high school student?
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's the name of the original guy?
William Ragsdale?
Yeah.
William Ragsdale.
Yeah.
Right. He had that I don't know that
He was slightly nerdy himself because he was really into Peter Vince. He was really into the horror stuff.
And I like the fact that in the original, the evil Ed, as they called him in there, was such a distinctive personality, and he was a big part of the movie.
Right.
Here, Christopher Mintz-Plasse is barely in this as a human at all. I mean, he's like just in and out.
He's
like,
reading off the teleprompter.
Well, you didn't really get to know that guy or even have any feelings about him one way or the other. It's not for me at all that anything starts moving in this film until you get to meet this movie's version of Peter Vincent. When they go to Vegas to meet this Chris Angel guy because Christopher Mintz-Plasse's character, Ed, thought that, he has websites up about this guy who says, I know all about how to fight vampires. And so Charlie goes there to talk to him saying, hey, I need your help. And about there is when things finally start moving.
Sorry. I guess I don't want to be a man like me either. Let's kill something. Floor trap. I use them all the time.
What do you think is down there?
There's only one way to find out.
You're going down?
See that? Like a great date. You get me drunk, I'll try anything.
About 10 minutes later, when everybody knows he's a vampire and he knows everybody knows he's a vampire, shit, it's just on.
Well, you see, it's interesting because I'm a huge fan of the original too, but I will say that the Yeltsin guy, I'll never fucking remember that.
Chekhov.
Yeah, it's called Chekhov.
Yeah, Anton de Yelkin. Yeah, that guy. That guy. I honestly liked him only because, like, with Charlie in the original, he had a girlfriend where I was like, this is a fucking nerdy motherfucker. And he has a girlfriend? Really? That was the kind of part in that movie where I really had to, like, buy into it.
Well,
like,
he was a good-looking kid.
He was.
And his girlfriend, she was a little, she was pretty, but she was kind of mousy.
She was
in her
kind of
personality.
nerdy or something.
But at the same time, I like the fact that with this new version, they made sense where he's like, he has a beautiful girlfriend, and he kind of has to play the role. He kind of has to abandon his nerdy friends, which I really like that aspect of the story, only because I knew that there was some meat there.
What are you saying, co-host? Is this why you haven't returned any of my
Yes, that is exactly why. Where you still feel some sense of guilt, even though you've abandoned your nerdy friends where they've discovered this cool thing that, man, dude, well, not so much cool for them, but it's like, wow, you have a vampire living next door. Did you not know this? And you want to, like, no, what do you guys are crazy? And then once you realize that shit is really going down, I like the fact that they made the story to where you sympathize. You sympathize for the main character, and you sympathize for his friends because he abandoned them, and some bad shit goes down. This is tough on this guy.
Man, I see what you're saying. When I was watching it, it's all pretty new to me. Even what little bit I've seen of Fright Night, I haven't seen in years. So I'm watching this, and I love Colin Farrell in this movie. I mean, Colin Farrell, that whole bad boy thing he's got going on, he plays it up here, man. He brought whatever element of that life that he really has. And, he really lives, drinking, partying, smoking chicks. I can see why he took this role. He's like, fuck yeah. He's like, shit,
when you're smoking chicks.
I was going to say, like, that guy's such a badass. He smokes chicks, grinds them up, puts them in his wrapper, and
did I say smoking chicks? Yes, that's what he does. He's so badass. He puts them in rolling paper and smokes. You don't even fuck them anymore. He's like,
ultimate of cool. That's about as cool as you can possibly get in the world.
Shit. I don't do that anymore. I smoke them now. But smoking, drinking, having fun. He's looking at these like, man, I ain't even got to act to do this. This is a free paycheck. Just give me some things and I'll do whatever you need me to do. And he plays that role so well. I mean, when he's supposed to be seductive, like Toni Collette, who I got to say this movie is the hottest that I've ever seen her in a long time. And she's a mom here. When he's like trying to seduce her, so he can work his way into her home and everything, I was like, yeah, I'm taking my fucking pants off right now. I believe this.
He's taking it on with a lot of relish. I mean, he's having fun with it the way you should. And I liked him in this a lot too. Do you remember the name of the original actor who played that
Chris
role?
Sarandon.
Yeah.
Chris Sarandon.
And that was like probably the best role he ever had.
Who has a brief cameo here as well.
Oh, does he really?
I was like, aren't they going to cameo anyone? And he's the guy.
It's actually a cool cameo.
It is a cool cameo. But it felt like that's the part they got the most right as far as a direct, representation of what the original was, because they're both just eating it up.
Well, here's the other thing, man, about Colin Farrell. He's not just seductive either. I mean, there's a little bit of dangerous mischief that he does too. Like for most of the film, he's one step of everybody. You get the feeling like he doesn't just like to come in and just take over. He likes to toy with everybody too.
He's playing with his food.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's playing with his prey, and he's like, and there's certain scenes in this movie I don't want to ruin, but you think that people are getting away with something, and he's sitting up there just plotting the whole time. And when you see the results of it and see him laugh about it, it's like, Man, that really is badass.
And that is where I have to give the film like a lot of credit because they play those scenarios out so fucking great. Where even I'm sitting there like I'm being skeptical of the film while I'm watching it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, that is bad. That is some great writing, and that is just some great thinking on their part.
I like that part about him a lot. I like the fact that he is a traditional vampire, which means can't come in the house unless you're invited. Sunlight kills him. None of that bullshit.
No sparkling.
Yeah, no sparkling or any of that other shit. He is a strictly by the rules. The only thing he doesn't do is transform to like fog and rats, which I think they even had in the first movie. The guy did. I think he turned into fog at one point.
That is true, man. This is a return to the more traditional.
But it's a traditional vampire, which we haven't seen in a while in a big film. The other thing I like.
Does he say bleh? If he doesn't say bleh,
he doesn't say bleh. I'm sorry. That's more of a traditional cartoon vampire. But
when he sees McLovin, he goes bleh.
There's a sequence here that feels like it's almost like there for Buffy the Vampire Slayer fans because David Tennant's character Peter Vincent has this like collection of artifacts of like crazy vampire killing artifacts, and you're like, wow, this is totally like the prop room from that show. There's this little sequence where they're just grabbing shit and throwing them.
It was ridiculous. It was like the Bruce Wayne room of like 1989 or something.
And, and that's the. I figured like a lot of this was being kind of true to the original, maybe to some people to a fault. But what they did do in this movie that I know they couldn't do in the original is that they have this amazing scene for me where they are driving away from Jerry the Vampire, and they have a set piece in this movie where it's one shot, and it's, if anybody has seen War of the Worlds, where Spielberg does this, it's one shot, and the camera goes around the car while everybody's talking, and it's the part where Tom Cruise is trying to get away from the aliens. They do something similar here. They're driving away. Jerry comes driving up in a car behind him. It's a cool car chase, and they go around the car in like one shot where Jerry's coming up behind them. He's coming up on the side, and the movie, it's in 3D. That is where the 3D really works. When that car comes up to random from behind, glass feels like it's flying in your face. When the car goes around the side and you see Jerry like bumping into him, that's amazing too. And then there's scenes where Jerry's under the car, he's on top of the car, and it's like, this is amazing that they're able to do an action set piece like this, all set in one small vehicle.
And that's why that movie works. As far as I didn't know if they like converted the film to 3D or what, or if it was initially planned to be 3D.
No, it was planned.
I didn't know until I saw that scene.
Yeah.
Where I was like, wow, you talk about a good use. Even an almost Hitchcockian scene in a way to where it really like gears up the tension. And that's what I think what worked about the original Fright Night that they also use here is that there's parts where Charlie is looking out his window. That's the only way he can see what is going on.
Right.
And it's almost like he's in some way he's helpless. Like he does what he can, but you still feel like, man, you're still screwed. The guy who you're looking at, and that's exactly what I'm bringing up. Yeah, the rear window. For you younger kids out there, Disturbia, that that aspect
and by the
of
way,
the
you
film.
suck for that.
Yeah, that aspect of the film, which really works. It's like because what I loved about that original and this one is that you can put yourself in this movie. You're like, well, what would I do in that situation? When you're like, I got a fucking guy who's killing people. Not only is he killing people, but he's a fucking vampire, and I can see him right across the fucking street from my room,
and no one will.
And he's
believe
looking
him.
at me, and he knows that I'm here, and he knows that I'm looking at him.
I like that they got across more so here than even in the first one. His knowing that no one is going to believe him because he wouldn't believe himself. We see him earlier going, "Fuck you, Ed. Fuck you. This is bullshit." And they're like, "Oh shit, it's real." Oh, crap. Boy, don't I look like an idiot?
I'm stupid.
It's like on my face.
I feel like when Corey started this review and had to admit he had never seen the original.
I told you, but the youth will connect with me. But you know what, man?
Youth gives me strength.
Exactly. I soak up the essence. I am a way of vampire. Still, the movie does have some major drawbacks, man. I mean, the character of Ed, I got to agree with you that they brought that character in, and one of the things I do remember from the first one is that was a stronger character.
He was a standout
in
the film. And here, he's completely forgettable.
He's a sympathetic character, and they just kind of throw him away. They use this guy just pretty much as comedy. That's it. Comedy for like one action
mechanic.
The way they introduce him, as far as like revealing the friendship that he had with Charlie. I mean, they had a great setup there, but they do end up dropping the ball.
But they start out as bringing him in as a sympathetic character, and you feel bad for him, and they don't milk that for anything. By the time you get to near the end of the movie, whatever relationship that they had potentially, and Charlie and in Ed, they wasted. They just use Ed as you say, like as a plot device.
Just a plot device.
And just for comedy.
Yeah, even though you do see the actor, the guy playing Charlie, Anton Yelchin, you see him really like trying to like get some emotion out of it, which I actually admired him for. Where I'm like, man, any other actor could have just been like, oh well, whatever, I got something else to do. He really like tried to put some kind of emotion in there during the scene, which I thought was great during the scene where they both see each other.
Cyrus, I know you were like David Tennant in this, and I did too. I liked seeing David Tennant kind of expand.
I thought he had a lot of fun with the role, although the role wasn't written very well.
I don't think so either. I think he looked like he was having fun with it, and I like the twist that they
he had fun catching that paycheck.
Yeah, well, hell yeah.
I mean, it was a fun big character to do, and it was clear just watching it. A lot of why it's entertaining is the way he's playing it. It's just so boisterous. But the actual dialogue he's given is really kind of bland. It
is. Which, if you're a fan of the original, once again, as much as they did with that Peter Vincent character, where that was a character where you kind of felt bad for him because he's like in a business that is dying. Yeah. And he's like, well, nobody's paying attention to me, but I'm just going to keep doing this until I'm fired. With this, this guy's like he's like a Chris Angel, where he's on top of the world. This guy's making money regardless.
Well, no, and
he has an arrogance about him that you can understand, but you can't like root for him. There's something about him that you're not rooting for him.
Well,
at least with Peter Vincent, you are rooting for him in the original film.
That's funny because I think that this is the character that has the biggest character arc in this. But it's just
next to Charlie.
Next to Charlie. But this one, he has the biggest one on paper. And it's not really fleshed out that much.
They don't execute it well.
I think that I like the twist that they did with this. Instead of making them an aging TV show, B movie,
horror host,
public domain horror show guy.
He's not Count Floyd anymore.
He's no Count Floyd. Don't you ever say that.
No, he's not. He's in this one. He's
Chris Angel.
Yeah, he's more. Yeah, they took it around and made him an edgier guy, more of a cocky guy, which in turn gives David Tennant a little more edge in something that he's doing now. Everybody's used to seeing him as Doctor Who, but in this, I just felt like, David Tennant is having maybe too much fun with this because when he's coming in, he's really just soaking up the scenery. I mean, he's almost, to me, just almost overdoing it. And that's okay. I mean, it's that kind of character. But it's cool to see him get transformed because where, people believe he's kind of a guy that just knows a lot about vampires and he just collects these weapons because, well, they're just kind of cool and they fit his dark image. It's cool to see him actually become a vampire warrior. Vampire fighter at some point in the movie. And that's cool to watch. I think that as far as his character, though, near the end, they don't give him a really good conclusion. At one point, he seems like he's a kind of a caring character, and then he's not. He kind of flip flops.
They could have easily executed that in a far better way, like they did in the original film. Because the thing is, in the original, you were like rooting for Charlie and Peter Vincent, the vampire killer. And in this, it seems all of a sudden towards the end, they don't make it as grandiose as they probably should have because they built it up so much. And you have expectations of like, okay, these guys, they've been through hell, and now it's time for those fucking vampires to fucking pay. And you don't get a sense of that. You kind of get a sense of like, okay, this is kind of like the traditional Hollywood trappings that you'd expect from any other vampire film.
Yeah, that's true. And not to mention, there's just tons of fucking plot holes in this movie. I mean, a vampire comes into your neighborhood, people are missing. Right. He caused all kind of damage, blows up a fucking house,
and it's show up the next day and there's no cops there.
Not a cop.
Nobody looking for these people. Fire department ain't showed up. Yeah. I mean, it's like
not a cop to be seen. When I yell at Cyrus, somebody calls a fucking cop every 5 minutes.
That's because if you're a vampire, the first thing you do is eat the cops in the fire department. So that's probably what we saw. What is going to be in the director's cut?
Maybe it's like goddamn Ghostbusters or somebody show up.
It would have only made sense if they said at the end of the movie, like, guess what? All the police department, the fire department, they're all vampires too. It makes so much sense now.
I wanted to, fucking Scooby-Doo in the gang or some shit.
I don't want to nitpick, but you can't. That's not a nitpick. Stuff like that, you're right. You're like, you can't help but think about and go, what the fuck is that you couldn't have done? You couldn't have had one throwaway line to explain why that would be that way when anyone who lives in anything mildly resembling reality goes, wait, what?
See, that's the thing that'll throw you out of a movie because you go like, it's what keeps it from happening. Because you go into these things with the idea like, what if this really happened? But, you go like, well, the cops will come out. and that would sort of be the end of it. So if they can't back
Or
that up, or
the cops
explain
would
it,
play an intricate role in the film.
Yes.
And it's not like enough of a comedy to go, oh, well, it's just a ridiculous, silly film. It's trying to be the real world in its own vampiric way. And that's its problem in and of itself, is that because you're going, well, that's not the real world because you keep reminding me of it by making mistakes like that.
And they do actually introduce the cops in the movie. I'm sorry.
Sort of.
Jerry ain't that goddamn cool because the cops even show up and be like, oh man, this guy's all right with us. He's cool. It's hey man, sorry to bother you, Mr. Vampire, sir. They just walk away. It's like,
I mean, do they show him? Does he glamour them? Does he?
No, there's a weird different take on that because you remember from the original there was that scene where he glamours Charlie's girlfriend across a crowded like dance club.
Yeah.
And here there's kind of I don't want to give anything away, but like it's clear he can't just do that. He actually has to have another thing involved first to make that happen.
Oh,
in other words, he got
his cock.
He's got to have some game.
But you know what? His cock would have been that much more better.
But early on when that happens, you're like, okay, you can kind of see why, because these cops have no real reason to go look inside his house. They're just like, and he can be a charming motherfucker. He's been alive a couple hundred years. He may have put some points into charisma over this time.
Yeah.
We never get to see him. There's never any cops walking around the school, and there's like 20 students missing or something in the space of 2 weeks, and no one's asking any questions at all. Like you look at their classroom, there's like just in Charlie's class alone, there's like 6 students missing.
No investigation,
like,
no anything.
Well,
It's
this
strange.
place- I mean, you said Nevada. Is it close to Vegas? Because maybe there's parents who have to give their kids up as gambling debts
And
all the time.
that's the argument the movie lamely attempts to make. It's like, well, that's why he's living in Vegas, because people sometimes just, they just get up and disappear.
Even the kids?
in Vegas. Whole families who don't work for Vegas.
About 10 kids in school just went to gamble for a week.
Leave all their shit behind. Houses just
white slavery's big out there.
Hey, man, it's Vegas. Sometimes houses just blow up in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
That shit happen. I do like this movie though. This movie is a lot of fun, especially if you haven't seen it. I can't speak for the people who have. I imagine you will have some complaints because some people did come out complaining, and the complaint was, well, the original was better. I don't, and even if I had seen the original, I'm not in full support of Hollywood just doing all these remakes one after another, one every week. But if I can't stop it, and they're gonna do it, at least put some effort into it. Like I felt like they put halfway some effort into this and make it a nice, fun film to watch. And that's worth a matinee. So,
all right.
I have thought this was kind of a mixed bag. I mean, I'm going to come to a matinee too, but maybe for different reasons than you. I thought the dialogue was on the whole pretty weak all the way across the board. The difference being from the second half and the first half is just dialogue and plot. There's not much else happening. The second half is all action, and whoever was in charge of that shit knew what the fuck they were doing, because that once it starts rolling and it's a chase, which is the whole second half of the movie, wow, it's just one thing after another. It's got really cool inventive effect sequences. I mean, it's pretty exciting. But like I said, by the time it took so long to get there, I was about ready to give up altogether.
Damn, I hate that
like,
feeling.
oh man. But it did, like I said, it did totally win me back. So I'm going to end up giving it a matinee.
Well, I have to agree with both of you guys on everything you said. It's a solid matinee as far as original. And this one stands. I do like that they really just said, all right, screw off. Where I thought the first 30 minutes they really got you in there. They didn't waste any time. There was no subtlety to this, but they did it in a good way to where you can believe it. The fact that even if it had a weak script, I appreciate the actors that they got on board for this, where they really sold it. They made that weak dialogue better. The only complaint I will really have about it was kind of what they did with the Peter Vincent character. I was expecting that to be a more a fun role. That was the one guy I was looking forward to in this film, and what they did was just okay. Any other complaint? I would say a little too much on the CG graphics as far as this film, because if you look at that the original, I always think it's an underappreciated film as far as the special effects involved, because those were practical. And they work so well. The transformation of Evil Ed in that original is still blows me away. Just that scene in general is just a great scene. I wish they had more of that in this film, which probably would have not made it look so cartoonish sometimes. But other than that, solid, fun film just to take your fucking girlfriend out to see, just so she ain't got nothing to bitch about.
Speaking of girlfriend, Anton Yelchin's, Yelchin, whatever, his girlfriend in this movie, fine as hell.
She's gorgeous.
That happens
No.
with him in every movie he's in. Who's the girl this time?
It's a girl named. Now, here's the funny
This
thing.
is
Her
the
name-
worst last
yeah,
name ever.
Imogene Poots.
I'm pooched on you.
That's unfortunate.
You're bad enough you got to get past Imogene.
Right.
But Poots?
I know. I'm
Come
like
on,
thinking.
that's just cruel.
She must be really proud of that family name because
Hey.
I'm like stripper. Yeah, stripper with that fucking name would change it.
She's been guilt tripped into
Emily
that name.
Crystal or
you know
something.
she tried to like change that name and went
Yeah.
back home, and her father's like, "Girl, you're a poot. Be proud to be a poot."
You know, she had no choice.
Poots won't stand for this.
She has no choice but to actually be beautiful. I bet you she works her ass off to be that good looking because with a name like that, you gotta balance.
Oh
it out
no!
with
Not only
something.
that, but she makes sure she doesn't eat any gassy foods. the one time she farts, everybody's gonna laugh, and
Oh
that'll be
my
the
god!
end.
I'm sure she has some money invested in Beano. No,
I know everybody just looking at her at the lunch table, just eating. She's like sweating, trying to hold her shit.
yeah. You don't have to poots, do you?
Or she can't
I
be
hate
around
you.
somebody else who does it, who'll blame it on her. It wasn't me. Oh, come on. Your name is Pooch. You know.
Yeah, come on, Pootsy.
Stop it.
No, you know what, man? And like I said, I really enjoy Colin Farrell in this. I'm so glad that we are getting back.
God damn, how long y'all gonna suck his dick?
Man, if you would have seen him in this movie,
Looking
you
at
would
her-
have sucked his dick too.
Right
I don't
there.
know about that.
Vampire dick sucker right there. Right there.
I'm a little excited. He's no Thor.
I know, you're right. That's why Anton Yelchin was trying to stop him because Anton was like, "I'm not going to end up sucking this guy's dick. Right? He's got to be destroyed."
He's gonna
I'm about
seduce me and Pootsy over here.
Yeah, shit, it's bringing me back. I'm about to try to be that vampire neighbor now. Gonna go outside in a fucking cape and a speedo.
He has your dress sensibility.
I know.
Black shirt
I
and
know.
jeans. I'm like,
Every
damn.
time I take out the trash, I'm just bent over, pulling my cape back. Do you think you like ladies?
You smell that? It's your fear.
Did I kill him?
Hopefully.